I thought it would be fun to bring up a topic that I've only recently been introduced to through the strange and wonderful ways of the online algorithm. Bop and wop, hey yo! Obviously, I can't shut up about it because it is my entire existence. Recently, I birthed the creature that disallows sleep within the household. And because of this, my entire online landscape has changed. You see, I didn't have a choice in the matter. Free will be darned. We can't sleep, so what do? We go to YouTube and we type in white noise for babies. And they all have these misleading titles. White noise for babies. What comes up? We've got baby white noise for sleep and colic relief. Magic sound, soothing sounds, miraculous white noise, 2 minutes, guaranteed sleep. Baby will sleep in 20 seconds. Calm and serene, lull your baby into sleep. All these promises. My favorite is 20 seconds, sleep guaranteed. Never happens. I want to get my money back. How do I complain to front office? YouTube. It didn't happen. The title misled me. But you type these things in and then it's like the mystical algorithms that be are like, I see you just birthed. And you're like, oh no. I see you just birthed. Time to feed you some of this delicious content. Toddler pukes on father for first time. Hashtag so cute. Who is sharing this shit? Like, I don't know who's like, oh my god, I've got such a beautiful child. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to film them puking on me and share it on YouTube. Yeah. No questionable people are going to watch videos of my toddler. Not a single questionable one. Entirely normal. Completely well-balanced people with no strange predilections. They're the ones watching toddler videos. Anyway, so we got that showing up on the feed, and that's fun. Obviously, I'm not clicking on any of those videos. However, I've also had some really interesting ones pop up. And I think the most fascinating is that I have had video essay documentaries on both neonatalism and anti-natalism. How wonderful is that? They're complete opposites of each other. They hate each other. So if you don't know what it is, neonatalism is this extreme belief that we should be procreating as much as possible. As many babies as possible. More babies required. Birth, people. Birth. Do it until your uterus implodes. Go for it. Your legs were made to be open. And then you've got anti-natalism. Anti-natalism is like the fundamental disagreement with this first category because they believe that no one consented to being born. Life is guaranteed to include suffering and death. Nothing else is guaranteed. Okay, you might have some good times, but they're not guaranteed. And therefore, by birthing a child, you are doing the cruelest possible thing you could do to this poor being. You are giving them guaranteed death and suffering. Therefore, no one should give birth, and the voluntary extinction of the human race is the ultimate goal, as it will relieve all suffering. So you've got, on the one side, people who are very happy with the bang bang and they want as much of it as possible. Oh yeah, I want to explore the entire of the phenotype possibilities that my ovum can produce. And you've got the other category, which are in an eternal depression about how life is utter misery and being subjected to it is entirely wrong. I believe one of these antinatalists tried to sue their parents for birthing them without their consent. So It's fascinating that both of these things are being suggested to me simultaneously in my feed. And all of this because I have recently birthed a child. But if you get born, you can at some point watch Twitch streams. Maybe broken symmetry, maybe not. What if you don't have eyes? What if you're born without eyes? Sure, it happens. Then you can't watch them. I suppose you can hear them, but that's a different story. That's not watching them at all. I didn't ask to be born, and it has brought me issues. But it also got me here, so that's a positive. Yeah, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. I love extremists because they really do provide me with endless entertainment. I myself could be considered an extremist by some, I'm sure, but it's fascinating to just discover these random fringe movements. There are people out there whose entire identities hinge on these things. This is what they live for. This is what they live for, and they look. And I know this is judgmental. But they look exactly like you think they would. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, when you in your mind were visualizing, the sort of people that would be neonatalists, and you're like, I wonder what a neonatalist would look like. And you're like, hyper conservative, probably wears glasses, really likes the 1950s. And then when you think of an anti-natalist, you think wears all black, emo haircut, is definitely alternative, not conforming. Then yes, you are right. Exactly that. That is it. Correct. You've got it. They fall into these beautiful stereotypes so wonderfully, almost like they're doing it just to give us a little bit of assistance. Help us out here. If you're going to go to a debate, then you know which side's standing there and which side's standing there without even asking them what their views are. You're like, come in. Yes, I see black hair and a single mascara tear over there. Oh, I can tell that you're here with your 73 offspring. You're probably on the neonatalist. Go over there. You look tired. It's very, very much what you would expect. Which ones look like big babies? I mean, I suppose both. But so do I. So who am I to talk? It has caused a little bit of confusion, though, for me as a birthing individual, proven by the fact that I have successfully birthed a child. It has caused me some confusion because, Ick, thank you for joining and thank you for the resub. Muchly appreciated. Thank you very much. But, I watch the neonatalists talk and dang nabbit, they have some good points. They really do. They have some genuinely valid points. Sex is great. Actually, they didn't make that point, but it's a good point. But they have other good points. Like, for example, there was a time where there was this book that was out there telling people how, the population growing forever is going to result in everything ending in a fiery apocalypse because we're going to be overpopulated. Does anyone know what that book is called? The book about how climate change is basically due to people procreating and everything is going to go to crap because of the population growth. It's the book that inspired the one-child policy. It was very, very popular. It came about in the 80s. Can't remember the name of it. Something like Population Bomb. I don't know. That's what's important anyway, Ick. That's the important thing to recall. But yeah, it turns out that they were wrong. They were wrong. Because the thing is, they didn't account for something. That this book didn't account for something, which is the fact that as the human population grows, Tupac, thank you for the follow, muchly appreciated. As the human population grows, we keep innovating because we are all tiny geniuses, and we keep coming up with ways in order to sustain ourselves. If there was one thing that humans, yes, the population bomb, that's the one. If there's one thing that humans are pretty keen on, it is survival. And so thus we have found ways to industrialize and manage to spread food far and wide so most people can eat and stay alive, things like that. We have found ways to not just build houses flat on the ground, but up into the sky. Whoa, there's a novel concept. So you're a big fan of survival. Yeah, me too. I'm pretty glad I'm here today. Yesterday, if you asked me, do you want to be here tomorrow? I would have probably said, yeah, I reckon so. Tomorrow sounds nice. So I'm glad. It's good. Tick, did it. But that's kind of what happened. And now we have a different problem. Now people are not procreating as much. You're not having as many babies. You know, as a woman, you are ideally expected to have 2.1 babies. 2.1 babies. That is how you sustain. That is not how you grow a population. That is how you sustain a population, by having exactly 2.1 babies. The 2 I understand. The 0.1 I'm having a little bit of difficulty wrapping my head around. Can you imagine? This is Frankie. This is Gerald, and this is 10% of Lucille. Like, you know, welcome to my family. 0.1, it's the extra toe. Yes, exactly. The sub gifter, thank you very much for the follow, muchly appreciated. But that's the way to maintain population. Now, across the globe, with very few exception, people have realized that birthing children kinda sucks. I mean, it's kind of nice because you get a child and they're cute and, you know, you can dress them up like tiny bees, like little antennae. But there's also downsides, like, you know, pregnancy, the fact it destroys your body. They cost like some, you know, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000. I don't know what the going rate is right now. Sold your child to raise a child. It costs a lot of money, and so people are like, "Ooh, this is actually kind of tricky to deal with," and they're not having as many children. That, and I suppose people are not in relationships as much. Marriage rates are down. Not that necessarily represents the lack of relationships. Could just represent the lack of marriages, but regardless, it's being viewed as a statistic that matters. I mean, there's reasons, but basically, fertility is down. A term I find a little misleading. Fertility is down. That's what it said. So people are not birthing as much. We're now well below that 2.1 average. In Australia, for example, the average is 1.6. I believe it is the same in the UK, 1.6, whereas the US has beaten us all and is at 1.5. We'll catch up, never fear. And that means that on average, people are having 1.5 children, 1 or 2 children. I find it a little misleading when people are saying fertility rates are down and no one is birthing children anymore. Because if the average is 1.5, that means most people are birthing at least 1 child. Most women have at least 1, if not 2 children. That's 1.5. That's how you get that number. That's not 0. 0 is rounder than that. Round, like I was when I was pregnant. Round. That's straight with the dot in it. Anyway, but that and fertility I find is misleading as well, because fertility implies that people are unable to have children as opposed to are choosing not to have children. 2 separate, distinct things. One scenario, someone would like to have a child, but the child does not want to be had. And in the other scenario, they don't want the child, so therefore hypothetical child has no say. Different. But yes, they have a good argument there. Now that the population is declining, we're seeing issues. Real issues. Population Bomb book did not see this coming. Population book said, with less people, there'll be less climate change. We'll be able to, disperse food more evenly, yada, yada, and didn't take into account that we're going to have an aging population. And what does an aging population refer to? It refers to a lot more old people and a lot less young people. Yes, that's right. So many lawns without children running on them. Can you imagine the horror? You finally reach the age where you can stand out on your lawn with your walking stick and you have to wait for a child to run onto the lawn because there aren't enough of them around. How are you meant to yell at the child when the child does not exist? You have essentially focused on this survival thing for your whole life to get to this point. This is your moment. You got your walking stick, you got your lawn, which you had to pay for 45 years. Finally, you paid it off. You got your lawn. You don't own the house, just the lawn. And you're there with your walking stick and no child. You can't even yell at the child to get off your lawn. Is there a point to existence? Perhaps not. And this is where I suppose the anti-natalists come in. But that's what's happening. Misery globally. People on lawns with their walking sticks having to wait. And the weather is terrible. Climate change, fires and winds. It's not comfortable on the lawn. They have to go back inside and watch Netflix, and they have been denied. They have been denied. And actually, all jokes aside, they have been denied is one of the main things that people are ranting about. Older generations, I find this quite funny. Older generations are now complaining about the silent suffering they are enduring because their children have not given them grandchildren. Because the only reason you want to have a child in the first place is so that child can produce another child, whereas with the second one you don't have to do anything. The first one you have to raise them and feed them and listen to their stupid stories about someone at daycare took their crayon. But with the one afterwards, when, Frankie grows up and has their own children, that's a grandchild. Do you know what that is? All the cuteness and none of the responsibility. You're there for 3-4 hours a week and you're like, oh, they're adorable. Okay, tapping out, done for the week. And you go home. Now Frankie has to deal with the stories about the crayon. You're good. And they're not getting that opportunity. Can you imagine the horror, the silent suffering, as they say, of being grandchildless? That's at least 3-4 hours a week, tops, that you don't get to spend with the spawn of your spawn. True suffering. I suppose they've never tried going vegan. But that's another one of the main complaints. Opinionated, thank you for joining. Oh, I can imagine the pleasure of being grandchildless. Oh dear. But so right now, I suppose the biggest issue we're facing when it comes to population decline is that productive population, aka the young people that do all the work, make all the money, and therefore pay for the older people, is declining, which means the older people are not able to retire, they're not able to be as comfortable, they're sitting in their old people homes, and there's only one person looking after them, and he's addicted to TikTok anyway. Sorry, Darlene, I'll get to you in a moment. No, the cat is dancing and it's in a funny outfit. I have to look at this. I'll get to your life supply. Jesus, you've been alive long enough anyway. That's not ideal if you're in an old person's home and then they're not coming when you're screaming because there's only one of them looking after 700 people because no one decided to birth. Orchestrane, thank you for joining. You never had kids, so you'll never be a granny. Yeah, but even if you did, you very well may not be a granny. Death by Puppets, send them a card that includes a receipt for a vasectomy. Good luck getting one. They're not as easy to get as you'd think. Old, still working and supporting others. And that's what's happening now. That's what's happening now. And it is funny because it is kind of, the boomers are not the ones that are suffering. So if you're a boomer, what were you doing for your whole life? I'm sorry, but you had every advantage on the face of this planet. Every advantage. All you had to do was at some point buy a house for 50 cents and you are currently a multi-millionaire. What were you doing your whole life to screw that up? Come on. You had it easy. Shh. Don't tell me, in my day it was hard. No, it wasn't. You bought a 50-cent house and a 20-cent car and you were fine. People nowadays work 3 jobs and they're still going to pay their mortgage until they're dead. You're fine. You're fine. The boomers are fine. It's the next generation that's like, oh no. Oh no. Or she. I actually think Gen X got the worst deal. I'm a millennial. I'm Gen Y. And I can complain about my avocado toast scenario, but I actually think Gen X got the worst deal. I think Gen X got the worst deal because the boomers came and stole everything. And then Gen X came along like, it's my turn now. And then just before it was their turn, just before, they just worked those, in entry-level jobs. They worked up to like the slightly higher level jobs. And then the millennials came along, invented the internet and made all of the Gen Xers redundant. Like that's what I think happened. I think the Gen Xers kind of got screwed over because the boomers are killing it with their 50-cent house that's now worth $6 billion. And the Gen Yers are here being like, well, we know how to use the technologies and we invented Facebook. So now all the Gen Xers are like, where do we fit in? We just got screwed over from that side. We got screwed over from that side. I guess that's why it's an X. Gen X. Crossed out. Sorry. Hey, Gen Xers here are like, yeah, you're not wrong. It does seem like it. Yeah, them boomers need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. I only have aunts on your ass for kids. Well, that's not too bad then. Oiskog, thank you for joining. Anyway, anti-natalists. I think I've been ranting for a while now, but this is, I thought, a pretty interesting topic, and I'm keen to see everyone's take here.
Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and notification bell because clicking things is fun. If you want to see the full versions of these Twitch streams, then you can on my channel, twitch.tv/MaryAmber. And if you want to catch VODs, if you've missed streams, then check out my Patreon, Ninja Club, patreon.com/MaryAmber.